What's up, y'all? This is Juwon. We're back for another episode of Thrive Thursday. I'm excited to be back here with you all. If you could tell, the weather outside is a little crazy. The rain was coming in through the windows, so I'm not doing this video from outside, but you can't stop this party. So let's get into it. Something recently happened to me. It's a funny story, but it has an important point to the story. And I consider myself to be a reasonably intelligent person, but sometimes I do some very stupid things. You see, I was down here at my parents' house the other day because I have family in town. And I sat down to watch the television and was watching TV for a little while. Then it began to get hot. You know, it's the middle of summer, it's hot. So I moved the fan and so it could blow some cool air on me because it was hot up here. So you know, some time went by and I was still watching the television. And do you ever just get bored of the channel that you're watching? And you're like, let me see what else is on the TV. So I decided to reach for the remote and turn the channel. And I reached for the remote, right, to turn the channel. And I kept pressing the button to turn the channel, but the channel wouldn't change. And you know, this got me a little bit frustrated. I was like, what's going on here? Why is the remote suddenly not working when I want to change the channel? You know, it always stops working when you really want to change the channel. So, you know, I did what any reasonably intelligent person would do. The first thing I did was check the batteries. Like, maybe the batteries to the remote are broken. You know, so I pulled out the batteries and I put in some new batteries, and that didn't seem to work. So then I was at a loss. I said, well, what could possibly be wrong with the remote? Maybe there's something wrong with the TV. So I manually turned the TV off and turned it back on, and the remote still didn't work. And then it was like a eureka moment. I figured it out. I figured out what was wrong. You see, in my haste to cool myself down, I put the fan in front of the cable box, and so it was blocking the reception, so I couldn't turn the channel. And I was like, oh my goodness, Juwon, you've done it. You really outdone yourself on that one. And so I laughed at myself for a moment, but then I thought, well, what's the teaching point from this story, from what just happened to me? And I think oftentimes this situation maybe doesn't directly happen, but happens to us in life, right? We're trying to change the channel in our lives. We're trying to go to a new level, take our life to new places, achieve new goals. We're trying to change the channel on our life. We're stuck at the channel that we're at. We want to go to a new place, and something is blocking us. Something is preventing us from getting to where we want to get. And so I want to talk about 3 blocks that we need to remove out of our way if we're ever going to change the channel on our life. One of those blocks are people, right? Oftentimes when we want to decide we want to do something different with our lives, when we want to better ourselves, improve our situations, the people around us kind of laugh at us or look at us funny or chastise us or criticize us, say, you can't do that, or who do you think you are? And so at these moments, we have to, you know, take an inventory of the people that are around us and ask ourselves, are they helping us get to that new channel, that new place that we want to get to in life? Or are they blocking us? Are they preventing us? And if they are, you know, then we have to say, excuse me, but I'm going to need you to move out of my way because I got a new destination that I'm headed to. And if you're not going to be with me, hey, you know, you're going to have to push it to the side, unfortunately, right? It's just the way sometimes that it has to be if we're ever going to get to the levels that we want to get to. So think about the people in your life and ask yourself, are there some people that are blocking you, preventing you from getting to where you want to get to? And ask yourself the hard question, are you going to need to change that channel? You're going to need to remove that block if you're going to change that channel. The second block to changing our lives oftentimes is our thoughts and the habits, right? Our thoughts create our habits, and sometimes we have some bad habits that we know maybe have gotten us to this point, but won't get us to the next level, the next place where we want to get to. in our lives. And so we have to be honest with ourselves and say, you know, what habits do I have today that I need to change if I want to get to where I want to get to tomorrow? Sometimes that may be, you know, thought patterns, negativity. Sometimes that may be, you know, health and fitness goals. Sometimes that may just be pure laziness. You know, we know that we have got to work harder to get to where we want to get to. So what habits are blocking you from changing the channel in your life? We got to remove those blocks. Those are the second roadblocks that we need to remove. And the third block that we need to remove if we're ever going to change the channel in our life is something I've been thinking a lot about the last couple of days, and that is fear. Fear is probably the #1 block that prevents us from doing what we know we want to do and getting where we know we want to get, right? That old fear starts to set in, fear and self-doubt. And so I want to share something with you, a quote that I learned from a guy who climbed Mount Everest. He summited Mount Everest, but he didn't do it on the first try. It actually took him 3 times. And the first 2 times he failed miserably, and people died. And you know, everybody asked him, you know, why are you continuing to do this? You're never going to make it. But he had that will to succeed. He knew he wanted to achieve that goal in his life. And one thing he said about the final trip that he had, that he learned, the lesson that he learned on that journey was that oftentimes we find things in life that we're afraid of. And on the other side of fear is freedom. Right? On the other side of fear is freedom. And that's what he experienced, he said, when he climbed that mountain. When he reached the summit of Mount Everest, he experienced this feeling of freedom, like he was at the top of the world. And so I want you to think about the fears that are holding you back. Fear of failure, fear of rejection, and maybe even fear of success that is blocking you from achieving the things that you want to achieve, from changing that channel on your life. And let's push through those fears this week, because on the other side of those fears are freedom. And so that's the lesson that I want to share with you all for this video, this Thrive Thursday video. Move those roadblocks that are preventing you from changing the channel on your life, so we can move on up, as the Jeffersons say, to new levels, to new heights, and take our lives to places that we've always dreamed about. So this is Thrive Thursday, Thrive or Die. Take care.